The Go 7 is old money Boox leaf size. Okay, this is the old Boox leaf, and this is a good few generations out now. And we're going to talk about the Go 7 color, which is the same size as this, and it will have a magnetic case, so you won't need to be doing this to get it out of the case anymore. It will be plastic feeling like this as well. Let me know if you're really keen to see the Boox Go 7 more or less, or if you're keen to see the 10.3 more or less. This one doesn't have any pen at all. It's a color device. It's going to be a pure reader. If I click through the order now, I'm on the US and you can see $250 essentially. It's just going to be a pure reader. So more fun than the older page with the kind of mellow colors, the pastel kind of shades there. A lot of you are asking, why on earth is this the one it's got the micro SD cards, like the premium features. It's got the Android 12, but why not put a Wacom layer in this? Well, smaller e-ink screens with the Wacom layers don't exist yet. So that layer is actually comes from the factory. So you cannot buy this size, the 7-inch screen, with a Wacom EMR layer built on. It comes from the e-ink factory. That's my sort of understanding of it anyway. So right now, there's no way to put a Wacom layer on. What Bigme did was they went and they did give you a capacitive stylus, which is like for a tiny bit of occasional writing maybe, but you wouldn't want to make this capacitive stylus the one thing that you use all the time. We can talk about this as being an example of a Kaleido-free screen. It'd be the same screen as this, but it would just be obviously in a Boox device. The capacitive pen is not good enough for a serious note taker. Boox have said, no, we'll just give you a really good tablet. A lot of you have said that smaller screens with Wacom EMR styluses would be really, really welcome, and I think you're absolutely right. So maybe, certainly you can get 7.8-inch screens with Wacom, and I personally think that actually if they could just have little garaged little styluses like the S Pen on the old Note phones on the Samsungs, then I think that would be a really good shout for the future of e-ink. The Go series, the Go 7, that comes in black or white. Tell me in the comments which one you would have. It also does have the dual front lights, the warm and dark front lights. And that is because you do need those when you actually have Kaleido free. You really do need the front lights themselves, because if you look at this, both of these don't have their light on at the minute. I don't think this does, because that does a tiny touch. But you can see it looks a lot darker on there, does it not, without the front light than this does. So to get this looking and get this really popping, Kaleido free, you really do need to add at least sort of half, maybe even up to 2 sort of thirds, is what I often run them at, just to make it really look that nicely contrasty. Kaleido free, you really do need a light. Okay, so that is why it can't be as thin, and you do need this front light. What is actually happening with the front light is in here, this base here, there's a bunch of LEDs which are firing across this kind of front glass, which is sort of a lens, and that reflects the light down onto the screen and then back out to you. So that adds a little bit of thickness. These are thicker than the Remarkable is, partly because of that front light, as are the current Note Air 3. And I think this Note Air 3 is currently sort of as thin as you can get whilst including a front light. But it is interesting they haven't included that in the 10.3 because Boox always seem to have front lights. You can see here the contrast is much better. It looks much whiter here, doesn't it? And let's get this warm light right off. Just not really a way to make it look as naturally as white as the sort of backdrop of a black and white e-ink screen. Now, I also want you to notice how similar these two devices are in terms of their size and in terms of their thickness. Okay, now the Go 7 is this same sort of form factor. And I want you to think about this. Well, these devices are largely a kind of kit of parts that come out of factories, and they're put together. Yeah, see the front lights right off there and it looks fabulous. They're put together by these companies, you know, from a lot of off-the-shelf things, and they design the shell that they go in, but generally they're designed to go into this kind of form factor, and that's why they're such similar devices. And these are not the only devices you can buy that have these similar form factors. So the Go 7 will have almost exactly the same form factor as this, with a few little touches which they can change and innovate on, and is what distinguishes each of them. You can see what they have done is they've added this kind of faux leather back of it, so it'll have this kind of soft touch to it, whereas Bigme and this one, for instance, have gone for a sort of aluminium looking outer kind of shell, although I don't think it is aluminium, it's all plastic. And they've gone for shininess. Boox have tried a few things. They've gone for different textures and different sort of inlays on their different plastics there, but now they've gone for this kind of faux leather stuff. It'll be the same kind of faux leather that you see back of cases. Yeah, and it'll be absolutely fine. In fact, it'll be better fine. I think it's going to be a really nice device to hold and to read on. Yeah, interesting. It doesn't have Wacom for the 7. I've ordered it because you want a pure color reader. That's cool, yeah. For some time now, the screen will have one less layer without the Wacom, and it will look slightly better. Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true. And the color e-ink has done really well on this, the 7 inch. It has been managed really well by Big Me on there as well. So it's a really nice looking screen.